Dr. Arak, I do hope Alabama A&M is enjoying this conversation as it moves along rather quickly. I'm delighted.
Absolutely. Yes, I am receiving just very positive comments. I want to thank all of our panelists and conversationalists who have joined with us today. And we are really excited about the opportunities. So I have students who have joined us
Oh, wonderful,
as a part of their class assignment. So say
wonderful.
hello to our students at Alabama A&M. We
We
are happy
love
to have you
students.
and our
Yes, we
professors.
love students.
Yes, exactly. Yes, especially those from the College of Business, as well as
Yes.
other disciplines. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And it is our pleasure to transition now to what we would say is the cornerstone and fundamental what's under the hood that really makes an HBCU have the advanced ability to demonstrate to investors, to developers, to bankers that they are truly running a business as an academic institution. That being one that we're so impressed and delighted and humbled to be partnering with Alabama A&M, and it is because they have a unique value for government contracting that brings long-term revenue, different than a grant in terms of its ability to have literally funds that are made available through the delivery of a solution or services, and there's something left over that allows that university to expand, whether it's staff, whether it's equipment, whether it's technology, et cetera. And Alabama A&M University has done just that over there in Huntsville, New Jersey. If you haven't heard of it, it begins with an A. Then it next is an A. And then there's AAMU. We thank you so much for transitioning into the very important component of this entire session, and that's tech transfer. Technology transfer does produce revenue generation. It takes ideas from the classroom, from you, the students, based upon the ingenuity and the curiosity that it engages you by the professor to think about what can you solve? What ideas do you have? And it is delights me to introduce you to Charles Sills really quickly as our senior advisor here at KDM and Associates, who has such a worldly knowledge of government contracting expertise and the components of mentor protege, hub zone, small business, woman owned, and the Department of Defense. And it goes on, ladies and gentlemen. We have no time to go further than that. And his panel on tech transfer, what works for HBCUs in the technology transfer space. And his co-partner, Dr. let's just say Chichi, who she will be joining us with a conversation from the National Science Foundation, ladies and gentlemen, students. We are so delighted to have a scientist, a passionate STEM African-American woman who is joining this conversation, joining us today. Thank you so much, Dr. Chichi, for being here. And I will take no further time from you all's great conversation. Thank you. Charles.
Thank you. Thank you, Keith, so much. And thank you, Teresa. So my name is Charles Sills. As Keith mentioned, I'm the National Program Director for the Defense Leadership Forum, which is a public service organization. And we run major government defense contracting around the country all year, mainly focused on helping small businesses and diversity suppliers access federal and defense contracting and helping them partner with the larger prime corporations. So that is our mission. And as Keith mentioned, I'm also an associate with KDM and Associates. It's my great honor to introduce Dr. Chinanye Nakwe Whitley, PhD, as Keith mentioned, known as Dr. Chichi. And she is a program officer for the National Science Foundation's a program to stimulate competitive research. And she currently manages a $107 million portfolio of 26 grants and cooperative agreements focused on broadening participation in STEM learning. She is a molecular biologist as well and has done very significant research work in the neuroscience, immunology, and cancer biology sectors. Our second panelist is Dr. Chad Womack, who is a Senior Director of STEM Initiatives and the HBCU Innovation, Commercialization, and Entrepreneurship Program at UNCF. Chad has extensive history in pioneering underserved community programs involving STEM education, tech entrepreneurship, and access to capital, such as the America 21 Project and DC Innovates. And he also led the White House-based HBCU Startup and Innovation Initiative. Chad is a graduate of Morehouse College, where he majored in biology with minors in chemistry and applied physics, and he earned his doctoral degree in biomedical sciences from the Morehouse School of Medicine. I'd like to turn first to Dr. Whitley and ask her to present and say words on her work.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm very happy to be able to talk to you all today about opportunities we have at the National Science Foundation. These are not all the opportunities within the area of innovation and entrepreneurship, but I would be remiss if I didn't highlight programs that's happening here at our established program to stimulate competitive research, or EPSCoR. And I thank you again, Dr. Roque, Dr. Moore, Dr. Hugine, for inviting me to be able to speak. And so if I may share my screen, I'd like to present my slides. Okay, excellent. Again, my name is Chinonye Nakwe Whitley. I'm a program director at the National Science Foundation, and I'd like to talk about opportunities at the intersection of academia and industry. But first, I'd like to speak about the established program to stimulate competitive research, which is a congressionally mandated program, has been in existence since the late 70s. And the mission of this program is to enhance the competitiveness of targeted jurisdictions, which are states, territories, or commonwealths, by building and strengthening STEM capacity and competitiveness. Many are familiar with our jurisdiction-wide awards, which provide 20 million across 5 years. But I'd like to talk today about two other initiatives that we have in our program that focus on regional partnerships and early career faculty. And you can find all the details at our site here. I'm talking about these opportunities because within these opportunities, there are ways to engage and promote economic development, as well as provide training opportunities for researchers in industrial environments. So the first opportunity is our Research Infrastructure Improvement Track 2 track, which builds research capacity through interjurisdictional collaborations with a focus on NSF-wide priorities. And we are in a cycle in which the topic of choice is focused on advancing research towards industries of the future to ensure economic growth for EPSCoR jurisdictions. And so this opportunity invites researchers from EPSCoR jurisdictions to collaborate across jurisdictions and to compete for funds that provide between 4 to 6 million over 4 years, with a focus on the following areas in future of manufacturing. That would be advanced manufacturing, advanced wireless, artificial intelligence, which is what we were discussing earlier, Mr. Moore, biotechnology, quantum information science, and spectrum innovation science. The current solicitation that describes this opportunity in full is currently open. And while the first round has closed, we anticipate a next round in which individuals who are interested can submit letters of intent in mid-December of 21, and then submit a full proposal in late January of 2022. So the idea is that right now, while we're having this conversation, researchers that are in EPSCoR eligible jurisdictions will be able to think about collaborations that they could build with a focus on building up the STEM workforce, supporting early career faculty, and focusing research that will advance economic development across EPSCoR jurisdictions. I am remiss to say that to be eligible for EPSCoR, jurisdictions, meaning states, US territories, or possessions must be possessing less than 0.75% of NSF funding over 5 years. And our eligibility table is available on our website. The next opportunity that I wanted to speak about was our research infrastructure track for EPSCoR Research Fellows. And this opportunity has a focus on building the careers of the next generation of STEM researchers. Ideally, this fellowship provides opportunities for non-tenured individual investigators to develop their research potential through extended collaborative visits to the nation's premier private, governmental, or academic research centers. And so this opportunity is very broad, but I highlighted private because if faculty wanted to conduct research at a commercial center, at a company, they have that capability. With this opportunity, researchers would be able to learn new techniques, build collaborative partnerships, extend their research towards transformative directions. And while they would benefit, their careers would benefit, we also hope that their home institution and jurisdiction would also benefit from the partnerships they're able to gain. I'm also excited to be able to present here at Alabama ANU because we have 2 tracks for this opportunity in which in our RII track 4 NSF track, faculty can go anywhere in the US to pursue their collaborative partnerships, and the topics are in any area that NSF funds. In our second track, which is new, it's called RII Track 4 FAST, or Fellows Advancing Science and Technology. And it gives researchers the ability to advance their careers in topics that would be available to them at selected NASA research centers. In addition, specific institution types are eligible. And among those institutions that are eligible are minority serving institutions such as HBCUs. And so among these different institutions that are eligible, we hope that researchers, regardless of which track they may be interested, will be able to access up to $300,000 over 2 years to be able to advance their careers, have salary support, be able to travel to another location to conduct their research activities, and also bring along a trainee level participant and receive support for that trainee as well. I'm gonna move to the next slide so that I have some opportunity for my colleague to speak. I want you to note for this opportunity that deadline is April 26th of this year, 2021. And to be able to outreach to the community, we are hosting a series of office hours in which interested applicants can engage and ask their questions after they've had an opportunity to read the solicitation, view the pre-recorded webinar presentation, and they are welcome to submit questions to me via email. And if there's a need for additional accommodations outside of real-time closed captioning, they're also able to reach out to me to be able to receive those. Here's all the contact information that's also available in the solicitation. And finally, I wanted to highlight an opportunity that's available across the foundation for graduate trainees that are working with researchers supported by NSF funds. They have the opportunity to apply to the NSF intern program where they can conduct internships at a company during their graduate careers. And the idea is to provide them with non-academic research experiences that can help promote their career development for the long term. Ideally, PIs can work with their graduate trainees to request up to $55,000 for 6 months of an internship at companies. And that companies can be startups or they can be large commercial organizations, but they're encouraged to go to our nsf.gov intern site for more details. With that, I will stop my presentation and I look forward to engaging further. Thank you.
Dr. Whitley, thank you so much. Terrific programs and outreach. Really, really important. Dr. Womack, would you please go ahead? It's your turn.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. Dr. Chichi is always engaging and wonderful to listen to. I want to thank Dr. Teresa Ruck at Alabama A&M and Mr. Keith Moore for inviting me to talk about tech transfer opportunity zones. And I'll segue from Dr. Chichi's presentation to talk about how HBCUs might position themselves as 21st century higher ed institutions that are innovative and entrepreneurial in their R&D enterprise. Let's first start by saying that our HBCUs were founded to solve a certain set of challenges for the African-American community. And I think we should plant a flag of success that our HBCUs have succeeded in fulfilling that mission. However, in the 70s and early 80s, a few things happened that shifted the ground a bit underneath universities and colleges nationwide, which really provided a new set of incentives for universities to commercialize the technology and intellectual property that was being generated on their campuses. And I'm referring to the Bayh-Dole Act in particular, which really set the stage for universities to be able to assign and have ownership and equity in the intellectual products that they were producing through their research, and allowing them to then engage in the commercial sector or private sector market by either licensing that technology to a commercial entity or to spinning out companies with equity in the company itself, and allowing those companies, startup companies, to grow externally. And that has, since the Bayh-Dole Act, several universities have really taken the bull by the horn. There are some notable examples of these types of universities that have been entrepreneurial, like the Massachusetts Institute for Technology, or MIT. The most notable would be Stanford, Berkeley, Georgia Tech, University of Michigan, and several others. I should say NYU Medical Center as well, have really taken the bull by the horn and really been able to drive commercial potential of their research. HBCUs have been trying to pivot towards much greater productivity with regards to not just R&D, but commercialization. We have some wonderful examples. Alabama A&M is one, Florida A&M, North Carolina A&T, Howard University, Hampton University, Prairie View A&M, and certainly Morgan State University are examples of HBCUs that have been able to demonstrate great potential in driving value from research that's actually happening on their campuses in a variety of different fields into commercial entities. But let's talk for a moment about what tech transfer actually is and what it means. The transfer of technology really is about a process of research and discovery that starts, of course, with faculty and students. That's usually supported by a federal agency. It could be the National Science Foundation, where Dr. Chichi is. It could be the National Institutes of Health. It could be the Department of Energy or Department of Defense. There are a variety of federal agencies that support research on HBCU campuses. But there are also private sector entities, companies, and foundations that support research as well. There are a lot of defense contractors. There are a lot of companies that are in the IT or tech sector and also don't leave out the biotech and the biopharma sectors that do engage in contractual research with colleges and universities. So those are the primary sources of funding to support on-campus research activities. Once a faculty member and his or her team, which might include students, graduate students, undergraduate students, develop ideas that seem like they have commercial potential. The ideal scenario is that there's a tech transfer office that works on campus with faculty to disclose the technology potential for commercialization, so that the university or college can work with the IP so that it is prosecuted through a process where there's a patent application that's sent to the USPTO, the Patent Trade Office. And so the reason why the patents are important is because it protects the intellectual property of the university and college. And I want to clarify, because a lot of people ask questions around, well, who owns what? Faculty members and or students on their respective campuses typically will have an agreement with the university that the patent is assigned to the university, meaning the university actually owns the technology, owns the IP, unless and until they license it to a commercial entity. And so there's usually a negotiation between the university or college and the faculty member, such that the faculty member and his or her team will have some royalty rights, meaning if the patent is executed and licensed, some of that money goes back to the university, and some of it actually goes back to the faculty member and his or her team that helped to create it. And those negotiations vary depending upon which campus you're on. But the point of the tech transfer process, and I'm gonna focus on the transfer aspect of it, is to get the intellectual property into a place and position where it can be fully commercialized, meaning fully developed into a product or service, and then utilized in the private sector, the commercial space, to be further developed into either a fully integrated company or licensed to an existing company that can then leverage that technology to build out their own research or products or services that they may already have or want to develop. And so that is a broad overview of the tech transfer process. There are some aspects of it that are unique, meaning a company can come to a university and say, we're interested in your faculty members working on a particular project to help us solve a certain set of problems that we're having with our existing products. And there can be that kind of research partnership established, which is a unique scenario, but a lot of universities and colleges have that potential to partner with companies, and that often happens. So for HBCUs, I think it's critical that we support their efforts around basic and translational research, but also the tech transfer process itself to help facilitate IP management, that is intellectual property management, and aligning the development of intellectual property with the interests of the private sector. And so I'm going to segue over to Opportunity Zone for a moment. It seems to me that based on the legislation and policy and the opportunities coming from developers in the private sector that are looking at HBCUs as opportunities to engage commercially, that we have some interesting possibilities where HBCUs could attract companies from the private sector to build partnerships that would result in resources being invested on our campuses, in particular with faculty conducting research, where you have centers of excellence in particular areas of engineering, biolife science. There's an opportunity there to generate new intellectual property. And what the opportunity zones then would provide is a unique way of driving interest to commercialize that technology and offer an attractive opportunity for investments that would come in and support either the licensing of or the spin out of companies based on the R&D that's in the zone itself in a way that's affiliated with the HBCU. So this is a really, I think, unique opportunity. We're in a different era now that perhaps HBCUs could take advantage of these opportunities and create some new commercial centers around HBCUs in those opportunity zones. So let me pause there. I hope I've covered that material in a sufficient manner.
Dr. Womack, that was a really tour of the waterfront with regard to tech transfer in OZs. Thank you. And just to wind up, I want to very quickly give two examples. Chad mentioned agencies in the government that are engaged in this kind of tech transfer with HBCUs. Here is some breaking news. Just today, concurrent with our webinar now, Los Alamos National Laboratory is presenting a webinar on how the Department of Energy National Laboratory Network engaged in research and development in the hydrogen and fuel cell space is actually engaging with HBCUs, including providing students with research and learning opportunities in this field. And that's going on right today. And that just shows how the Energy Department and the 17 national laboratories are engaging with HBCUs. And then secondly, the Defense Department is operating a special STEM workforce initiative focused on food security around the country by promoting agricultural literacy through STEM research at HBCUs and minority serving institutions. And this includes opportunities for these colleges to secure Department of Defense funding to advance research capacity and support workforce development. And these programs are embedded in Army, Navy, and Air Force component commands. So I just wanted to give those two really important examples, and I'll give it back to Keith and Teresa. Thank you.
Okay. Listen, I want to say, Dr. Chad Womack, thank you for elucidating, making real clear the history that we both understand so well about the challenges that date back to the 70s as to why we don't have more HBCUs involved currently in the tech transfer, but we will. And I thank you for having that recorded conversation with us, especially with Alabama A&M being a leading university. I'm going to quickly transition because I kind of know the schedule here, particularly that of everybody's a doctor today, J.R. Baggerty. What would we like to say? Charles, thank you so much for your conversation. I'm glad that you're not only an advisor and a friend, but one that I enjoy our conversations on a daily with.
Thank you.
J.R., your mic is muted, but I'm gonna move quickly. And Dr. Chichi, will you come back like even next month for Women's International?
Absolutely. I hope to have more opportunities to share.
Thank
Dr.
you so much.
Chichi, excuse me, before you leave, you want to briefly talk about the opportunity that we have at Alabama A&M to engage 50 of your HBCUs from EPSCoR as we move through that process. So,
yes, just recently, NSF awarded Alabama A&U a grant to conduct a workshop in which HBCUs will be able to come together and identify capabilities and opportunities to build technology transfer infrastructure across multiple HBCUs. Of course, it was from the established program to stimulate competitive research, and it's with the hope that it's the beginning of a wonderful, wonderful initiative. Congratulations.
thank you for your support.
That brings chills, ladies and gentlemen, because a win is a win is a win. And when we win, we have the chance to all win. And it does give me a pleasure to segue that great news into introducing you rapidly to J.R. Baggerty, who is, I'm going to just now begin to call a regular on our, podcasts, our webinars through the MBDA, Minority Business Development Agency. And I think, J.R., you would agree that that was great news on behalf of the award for Alabama A&M.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, definitely. Excellent. No, congratulations there. I know also just from Keith, what you told me, that Alabama A&M is heavily engaged in the government contracting space. So we're definitely interested in that. And just let me back up and say, hello to everybody on behalf of the Department of Commerce, U.S. Minority Business Development Agency. So I'm the one of two on the capital access team. And, at MBDA, we pretty much focus on access to contracts, capital, and global market and internet expansion. So, we've got a cadre of about 40 some business centers around the country, some specialty centers. A couple of the centers are connected with universities. The Georgia Tech Atlanta Center is connected with Georgia Tech, and so there's opportunities to partner with HBCUs if there's a specialty or something in entrepreneurship. I know Morgan State has a program that's focused on fintech and blockchain and things like that. So we're looking to do some new and innovative things. We'll have a FFO, federal funding opportunity. Grant competitions coming out. There'll be some specialty ones coming out as well. HBCUs are on our radar, so keep an eye out for that. So as far as the topic in terms of tech and opportunity zones and broadband, I mean, I see a tremendous opportunity, not to use the word again, but an opportunity there in that space in using the opportunity zones to attract investment. So there's the investment portion, but if there's an HBCU that's involved or a major organization that's part of a project, that makes the investment more and more attractive. Say, for example, this is my idea, the creation of a smart city in underserved communities. Basically partnering with an HBCU or something to drive this, and the community would consist of a smart city, mixed use. You have retail, you have a living space, commercial space. You can have incubators, accelerators, co-working spaces, small business development centers, all those things to create a self-sustaining kind of ecosystem in these underserved communities. And of course, the pillar for that, you have to have the infrastructure. So you have to have the broadband to put the Wi-Fi in so that everybody can have access to those services. So that's just one example. I mean, it's a big example, but a project like that, or a project, entrepreneurial zone or something like that, in conjunction with an HBCU, these are type of projects that could attract investors if it's laid out. The business plan, you make the business case, and there's a lot of money floating out there right now, a lot of corporate money. Folks want to do things for social injustice and the advancement of entrepreneurship. So there's a lot of ideas out there that we can do. So we look to partner with organizations. As I said, HBCUs are high on our radar screen right now.
Dr. Arak, you want to close us out? I cannot thank each and every presenter enough, because this conversation connects to the other. We're going to say on our side at What Works and IAEOZ, not only thank you, we're humbled by the grand participation, but Dr. Arak, please close us out. Thank you, JR. We'll be back in touch momentarily, and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank each of the presenters today, the conversationalists who have taken time from their busy schedules to be with us. I want to certainly extend appreciation to my president and to my leadership, whose forward thinking has propelled us into this event today, but has also enabled us to enter into so many other visionary initiatives at the university. I'm asking that each of you please visit our website, because I certainly do not want to take the time today to talk about everything that we're doing, but I certainly want to highlight the work that we're doing. First of all, we're located in Huntsville, Alabama, which in itself is a treasure place for us. Huntsville, Alabama is home to Cummins Research Center, and we have the second largest research center within the nation, only a second to that of the Triangle Park in North Carolina. So that within itself really puts us in a unique situation there. Alabama A&M is the land grant institution, the 1890 land grant institution. We offer degrees from the undergraduate level all the way up to the doctoral level. We are one of the nation's highest producers of African Americans, of students of color in many of the STEM areas, including physics and engineering and some of the other disciplines. We are very well poised to do work in very unique ways. Many years ago, over 20 years ago, and it has been since revamped, we were able to stand up a separate 501c3 entity that provides direct support to providing solutions for government and corporation. And what we're talking about there is a research institute and a research foundation now, the RISE Foundation. There at the university, wherein we're able to execute with precision government contracting. We have extensive past performance in the area of government contracting, having worked with NASA, having worked with DOD, and many of the other federal agencies across the nation. We also work, Dr. Seals and Mr. Seals, with the national laboratories in concert with the work that we do there. And also industry. We've taken on, and I've been personally involved with executing as a third party mentor protege programs and the like. And moving forward, we certainly want to talk with you, Dr. JR, and the work that you're doing. We are more than poised to do this kind of work. We've been doing it. We have faculty researchers who are on the cutting edge. We're actively involved with developing payload for NASA and DOD IEDs, detection devices, and all of the other kinds of things that come along with this. So I mentioned that we are an 1890 land grant institution. We have a 972-acre farm located just miles from the campus. And we are very proud of the work that we're doing here as a part of agriculture and urban studies. Dr. Presley, thank you so very much for joining us with your students today. That discipline is a part of the School of Agriculture, Urban Studies. So we are so pleased. My good friend and mentor, Dr. Chad Womack, who works with me on a number of other projects, also talked about technology transfer. This is a piece that is near and dear to my heart as I work with small and minority businesses across the state of Alabama, helping to push out this effort within small to minority businesses, helping our small and minority businesses to reimagine themselves. And that's exactly what we've done now in double effort over the past year since we've been confronted with this pandemic. I've been working with our legislators across the state. It is unfortunately predicted that more than 50% of our businesses will not be able to rebound. Well, we want to squash those figures that pertaining to our small and minority businesses, because we understand that our small and minority businesses are in fact the souls of our communities. So we want to keep the soul of our communities very strong and very vibrant. So that's what we are about, working to give voice to our small and minority businesses. I sit in the College of Business and Public Affairs. So our faculty across the various disciplines are working to promote technology and provide infrastructural assistance, technology, and technical assistance to our small and minority businesses. We do have quite a few patents that we've been able to attain over the years on the campus. And overall, Alabama A&M is considered as a leader among our HBCU communities in the kind of work that we're doing, the kind of passion that our faculty, that our students bring forth, and the kind of community engagement that we find ourselves in within the city of Huntsville, and not just the city of Huntsville, but our alums are across the globe. So I'm going to stop here because I can go on and on. Mr. Moore, it has certainly been a delight to work with you and Mr. Seals and all of your team, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Baker, all of you. I just cannot say enough. I am so appreciative for all that you do, and for Mr. Moore for your unwillingness to take no for an answer. So we are here today. Mr. Moore contacted me several months ago with this notion, and I said, okay, yeah, right. Okay, so we are here today. And I am so pleased. And I can certainly see that we have developed a very strong partnership with KDM and Associates. And I look forward to our next step. Thank you to everyone who has participated. I am looking, I see that we have people from across the country. Also, some of our other HBCUs, have my friend from Houston, from Texas Southern. I won't start calling all the names, but from Harry Medical College, and so many others that are here with us today. So we're just grateful. And Dr. Sakar, thank you for taking time away from another meeting to be with me here today. And Dr. Hugini, who's always very supportive. And my provost, Dr. Daniel K. Williams. Thank you all so very much. And I look forward to the next step. Have a great day.
Good afternoon.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone.